thank you. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Well, folks, it happened. I got indicted, or as I spell it, indicated. And frankly, it's time that I come clean, admit that I broke the law, and go quietly to prison. April Fools!
So, whose Republican Party is it anyway? I think we know, but this morning, 3 former GOP senators are trying to argue that it is not just Donald Trump's. They write millions of Republicans are struggling with the question of how to vote in November. Not content with the choices offered by either party, they find themselves at a loss as to how to proceed. Some are considering staying home, writing in a name of their own choosing, or voting for a man they don't really want to see in the White House. Those lawmakers are now launching a new group that they're calling Our Republican Legacy. They're trying to say that it's a home for voters who think that the modern Republican Party has abandoned the values that were once held dear by the party. They say it's the Constitution, union, fiscal responsibility, free enterprise, peace through strength. Principles that, do you hear Donald Trump talking about them? We tried to figure that out. Watch this.
American prestige and power have been restored. We've dampened aggression and promoted peace, and we've come to an even greater realization of how much our renewed military strength has meant to all of us.
This is genius. Putin declares a big portion of the Ukraine. Putin declares it as independent. Oh, that's wonderful.
Just as important as maintaining free markets within countries is maintaining the free movement of goods and services between countries.
I put tariffs, big tariffs, 50% to 100%, but 50% for the most part.
He's an Arab. He is not. No?
No, ma'am. He's a decent family man, citizen that I just happen to have disagreements with.
Crooked Joe is staging his pathetic fear-mongering campaign event in Pennsylvania today. Did you see him? He was stuttering through the whole thing. He's he's a threat to democracy.
There's no question but that January 6th was a riot, an insurrection attempt, an effort to overturn the process designed in the Constitution to allow the voice of the people to be carried out.
He says, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, other than day one.
Well, that contrast is pretty stark. Joining me now in the first TV interview about this group, former Congressman Charlie Dent, who is a senior advisor to Our Republican Legacy. Congressman, very grateful to have you. Thank you for being here. So I have to say, you are not the first group of people to come out and try to do something like this. We have seen efforts all the way along since Donald Trump was elected, since before Donald Trump was elected, honestly. Why is this any different? Because the reality is there isn't a track record of success.
Well, we've created this, Our Republican Legacy, for a few reasons. One, we think there needs to be a strong alternative argument or alternative narrative to the MAGA movement. That's what this is about, Casey. You just laid out those 5 principles that we believe very strongly in, that have sustained this party from Abraham Lincoln to Theodore Roosevelt to Dwight Eisenhower to Reagan, the Bushes, and forward until MAGA. And so we think it's imperative that we give Republican voters, many of whom are very dispirited and dissatisfied. In fact, you're seeing that Nikki Haley is getting about 20% of the vote, and she's not even running. A lot of these Republicans want to stay in the party, and we want to give them a reason to stay, and we want to push back on the MAGA movement.
So what do you think that they should do in November? Should they vote for Biden?
Well, we're not here to direct anybody how to vote. We're not a political
should they
action
vote for
committee.
Trump?
We're not. What we are telling, look, there are going to be people in our movement. I've never voted for Trump. I'm not going to vote for him again. That said, we are not telling people how to vote. We want Republicans to rally around these 5 principles, challenge Republican leaders everywhere in this country to embrace those principles. If they can't embrace those principles, we can't be for supporting our allies, pushing back against aggressors. We're against high tariffs and price controls. I tell you, a lot of things that we're against that we think that MAGA is for. We're for the Constitution. We believe in the rule of law, the constitutional order. We believe that election outcomes should be respected. The Union, Abraham Lincoln founded us. We're against this crazy talk of secession and others who want to divide this country. So that's what we're about, and we're just trying to push back and create an argument. And others are trying too, but we got some heft behind us. We have Senators Danforth, Simpson, and Cohen who led off with that op-ed. We're just getting started, and this is going to be a movement beyond 2024, and we're serious about it.
How much money do you have?
Well, I'm not here to say how much money we have. I can tell you we have enough money to get us through this year, and we're going to raise even more. We're raising money from individuals, and we're very excited about where we are.
Tens of thousands, millions.
Well,
where
I'm
are
not
we?
going to say. Well, we're going to be able to advance a program with digital marketing, with all kinds of things. So don't worry about that. We're getting started. We're going to be well capitalized, and we're going to make this thing stand on its own for some time. So just give us some time.
Stick with me, Congressman. I want to bring our panel into this conversation. But in doing so, I would like to just show you what the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, who is the highest ranking member of the Republican Party on stage in Washington right now, and of course, a constitutional officer of the United States, and Donald Trump, just juxtaposed to kind of illustrate where we stand, where your Republican Party stands right now. Watch this.
There's no crime here.
There's no crime here.
This is 4 weeks of keeping me from not campaigning.
They are doing this intentionally to keep him here and keep him off of the campaign trail.
It could have been brought 6 years ago, 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago.
Now, 8 years later, suddenly they've resurrected this thing.
We have a corrupt judge. You know who appointed him? Democrat politicians.
What we've got here is a partisan Democrat district attorney. We have a Biden donor judge.
All right, let me bring Matt Gorman into this conversation. Matt, that I think clearly sort of states where the Republican Party is today.
I mean, yeah, I would say a couple things. We just had a competitive primary. I don't understand what, where was this before when we actually were having this robust debate about this? I worked for Tim Scott. I was a part of it. Also, look, I respect Senators Danforth, Simpson, Cohen, obviously Congressman Dent. Look, the fact is, the youngest senator who signed that up, it was 83 years old, and they left office when I was in second grade. It's just not in touch with where the actual Republican Party is at. It's been getting more populist. And look, we played a clip of George W. Bush. Senator Danforth has been a persistent critic of George W. Bush. He started in 2005, was a critic throughout his second term. And the fact is also, look, I agree with many of the points you made. I do. But the tough part is, and I think where you saw Bush fail, and certainly what Danforth criticized, was that peace through strength and fiscal discipline can be at odds oftentimes. And I think that the reason there was such high deficits during the Bush years was because we promoted that agenda, obviously, rightly or wrong, with Iraq and others. So look, I think in long and short of it is, the party was getting populist for a long time. I think like a lot of things, Trump didn't necessarily transform the party. All he did was speed up a lot of change that were happening already.
Congressman?
Well, I would simply respond by saying, what part of those 5 principles should we not embrace as Republicans?
Well, I think the issue is not the principles. The issue is the Republican part. If this is where you stand, it seems like the party's moved away from these things.
Well, it's clear, though, look, the Republican Party is divided. It is not evenly divided, but it is divided. There are at least 20% of voters, it seems, who want someone other than this MAGA movement. They don't want a criminal defendant as their nominee. They want something better. Many of people are trying to figure out how to vote in November. They don't want to vote for these policies of high tariffs and protectionism and this, at times, this kind of mindless populism. We have Trump. He would surrender Ukraine to Russia if he could. We all know that. He'd walk away from our allies in NATO and elsewhere. And so I think we want a more constructive international engagement. We're not getting that. I mean, we can talk about populism all we want, but at some point we're going to have to be for something, and we can't be a party of going out and protecting a guy who's a criminal defendant for paying off a porn star and all these other issues he's got. We've got to get to a much better place. And I think a lot of Republicans know this, even many of those who are supporting Donald Trump. We welcome everybody. We want to get them thinking about the future, because the party's been around for over 170 years. The MAGA movement's been around 7 or 8 years. So let's have this debate.
Jeff Zeleny, what's your view of this as someone who has covered, you have covered the evolution of the Republican Party, our candidates on both sides. What do you hear in this?
The congressman's right. There is a share of Republican voters out there who are looking for something else. The challenge for this movement is it's a small share. But looking last night at a couple of the results, Nebraska, my home state, interesting results in Sarpy County and Douglas County. The reason this matters is Nebraska 2. That is where the one congressional primary, or the one electoral vote could go to Joe Biden as it did 4 years ago. Nikki Haley got about a quarter of the vote there. So that is the challenge here for the MAGA movement, if you will. The Trump-aligned candidate lost that congressional primary to Don Bacon significantly, 25 points. So I think going forward, there's no doubt the Republican Party is going through identity crisis, I guess, to be charitable, but not sure that a group like this is going to change things in the short term. The question